The video you are about to see is about my beloved girlfriend, the RMS Queen Mary. It is the only ship I've known that has a heart and a soul. And she is like a magnet, she keeps drawing you back. And after you've seen this video, you will understand why I feel like that.
Long Beach, California. The beautiful city, located right at the heart of Southern California, is well known by ocean liner enthusiasts and maritime historians around the world. On the morning of December 9th, 1967, history was written here.
What a historic day. One of the finest ocean liners ever built, the RMS Queen Mary, steams into Long Beach Harbor. She is greeted by hundreds of thousands of spectators on the shore and thousands of small boats on the water. After crossing the Atlantic 1,001 times, she is now arriving at her last and final port.
Today, 50 years later, she can still be seen, and she's become a symbol of Long Beach. She is in the heart of so many people and serves now as a museum and floating hotel. Permanently moored, she's still raising and falling with the tide. In her time, she was the flagship of the Cunard Line, Britain's first liner, which exceeded 1,000 feet in length. She's taller than the Eiffel Tower, as Cunard proudly announced in the 1936 Book of Comparisons. More than 10 million rivets have been used during her construction, and she's got 2,000 portholes. Her engines produce the unbelievable force of 160,000 horsepower, which made her one of the fastest ships ever built. But let's step aboard the still going strong old lady.
Hi, my name is Will Kane. On behalf of the rest of the crew and staff, I want to welcome you aboard.
Another day in Long Beach is slowly coming to an end. Pictures of an ocean liner that shaped the history of the sea. The Queen Mary is the last survivor of the golden age of ocean liners, a legend and a masterpiece of fine craftsmanship. She transported more than 2.5 million passengers and 800,000 troops during her 31 years at sea. Since she was launched in 1934, she's always attracted people from all over the world. Today she isn't sailing anymore, and the smoke coming out of her funnels has disappeared, but the excitement for the Queen Mary is still present. 1.5 million visitors come to see this historic liner each year. To walk on her decks is a very special experience. It's a voyage back to a time where the only way to cross the Atlantic was by ocean liner. The atmosphere on board lets you almost think you're on a passage over the Atlantic.
John Brown Shipyard in Clydebank, Scotland. In December 1930, more than 3,000 Scottish craftsmen began their work on a very special project, Job number 534, a new ship that should be bigger and faster than any other ship yet built. Work progressed fast, but stopped just months before the expected launch because of the Great Depression. All workers were laid off, and for 27 months, the rusting hull was Clydebank's sad picture of the Great Depression. Eventually, the British government decided to support Cunard if they merged with the White Star Line. And on the 3rd of April 1934, the workers returned to finish Job 534. Finally, the ship was ready for the launch. More than 200,000 spectators witnessed the historic event on the 26th of September 1934. His Majesty King George V and Queen Mary greeted the crowd on this rainy day. Then, Her Majesty Queen Mary launched the new ship.
I am happy to name this ship the Queen Mary.
Tons of hard soap were used to grease the slipway, and 2,350 tons of drag chain should control the ship once it was in the water. The launch was a success, and the event was live radio broadcasted to the nation.
The Queen Mary has 12 decks and was divided into 3 classes: cabin, tourist and third. After the Second World War, classes were renamed into first, cabin and tourist. Let's have a look at the former first-class rooms of today. The first-class dining room is not only the largest room on board the Queen Mary, but also one of the largest rooms ever built on a ship. The room is 3 decks in height and travels the entire 118 feet width of the hull. It offered enough space to seat all 815 first-class passengers in one sitting. The 2 bronzed grilled doors were created by Walter and Donald Gilbert, and the tapestry-like painting by Mr. Philip Conrad shows scenes of the old English country life. The biggest attraction on board was the decorative map of Mr. MacDonald Gill. A little crystal model of the Queen Mary indicated the position of the ship, and the 2 tracks represented the summer and winter route. After the Second World War, the Queen Elizabeth was added, and the 2 models showed the position of each ship on the Atlantic. The Art Deco lights at the pillars created special lighting and gave the room a nice ambience. The most famous people ate and celebrated in this room: royalties, celebrities and movie stars. It truly is an amazing space. She was called the Ship of Beautiful Woods. 56 different woods were used on board the Queen Mary, and it even shows in the long, almost endless corridors and stairways. Beautiful wooden panelling. The ship is built with an arch or bow shape. It's referred to as shear-to-deck construction and gives the vessel extra strength and flexibility when travelling across the waves.
We're on A deck in the hotel portion of the ship. We have 346 rooms in our hotel today. They have all been created from the first class suites and the first class staterooms. There are no second class or third class staterooms left aboard the ship today. When she first set sail in 1936, they were so sure that she was going to be a smooth ride because of her size that they did not install any interior hand railings. Well, she ended up becoming nicknamed the Rolling Mary because the way she rolled from side to side. She did not have stabilizers until 1958. But even with stabilizers, traveling the North Atlantic in the winter during a storm, they were no help. She set sail in May of 36. In October of 36, she returned to Southampton to have ambulances waiting at the dock to take passengers to the hospital from injuries that had occurred. So immediately, the engineers were called back, and they came in and installed 20 miles of Bakelite hand railings. These are still the original Bakelite railings they installed in 1936.
Here we're at the first-class shopping centre on Promenade Deck. Besides shopping, it was also a popular meeting place. The shop stocked a wide range of products, such as tobacco and souvenirs in the former Promenade shop, clothing in the famous Austin Reed store, and books and magazines at W.H. Smith on the starboard side. two beautiful staircases on starboard and port side lead up to the sun deck. Above the former Austin Reed shop is a 50-foot-long sculpted plaster frieze by Maurice Lambert. It's entitled Sports and Speed. The shopping area hasn't changed much since 1936. It looks almost the same, except the colour and the pattern of the floor. The observation lounge and cocktail bar was a popular gathering place for the first-class passengers. The room is semicircular in design and is a wonderful example of the Art Deco style. Almost everything is original: the lighting fixtures, the balustrades, and the 4 metal torcheries. The 21 windows at the forward end offered a beautiful view of the bow and the sea. However, during bad weather, when the bow immersed into the rough sea, guests rather preferred to look to the other side, at the beautiful painting of Alfred R. Thompson entitled The Royal Jubilee Week. A nice view of the forecastle with the foremast and the large derricks for the cargo handling. Ralph Rushton is standing at the entrance to the Crow's Nest, which has a height of 130 feet. Inside the mast, there are 110 steps leading to the top. The Crow's Nest had a weather screen, a telephone line to the bridge, and an electric heater. The 3 funnels were all replaced during the conversion in Long Beach, 1968. The Queen Mary had 3 sirens. The one on the middle funnel was removed and is now installed on the Queen Mary 2. The 2 other sirens are on the forward funnel. The voice of the Queen Mary can be heard 10 miles away. The wheelhouse was equipped with the most up-to-date equipment of their time. It consisted of 4 engine telegraphs which were connected to the 40,000 horsepower turbines, the 2 manual helms for steering the ship, and an automatic pilot, the iron mic, which can be seen on the right. Captain John Treasure Jones was the last captain. He brought the Mary to Long Beach. The docking bridge is the only place where you can see the ship in full length, 1,019.5 feet from bow to stern. It was used by officers for supervising docking operations. The entrance to the officers' quarters. Here we're at the captain's cabin. In his day room, he often entertained royalties, celebrities, and politicians. The captain of the Queen Mary was rarely off duty, as you can see by the telephone next to his bed. A walk along the sun deck leads us to the Veranda Grill, located at the stern of the ship. Queen Mary's a la carte restaurant and nightclub was quite famous back in the glory days of the ship. It was a nice dining alternative to the big restaurants and was available only for first-class passengers with a reservation. The rich and famous loved this place as they could eat in privacy. The entire decoration and the murals were created by Doris Sinkyson. The beautiful balustrades could be lit and the colour changed according to the music. The room offers a nice view over the decks and the sea. It was the place to be seen.
This was the first-class smoking lounge. This is where first-class passengers would have come after dinner, predominantly the gentlemen, to smoke their cigars and pipes. They could play cards, they could gamble. There's an American-style walk-up cocktail bar there on the starboard corner. On the aft bulkhead here, a steward's cupboard that had an electric hot plate there and a refrigeration unit underneath so they could serve hors d'oeuvres and things in here. If you needed the help of a steward, you just located one of the cream-colored buttons on the walls or the pillars. The woods in here, plain brown oak in the corners, English pollard oak or tiger's oak on the forward and aft panels. This was nicknamed tiger's oak because the longer you stare at the panel, within the grain of the veneer, you begin to see faces of tigers. Sometimes they're very large, sometimes they're very small. The two murals are by Edward Wadsworth. These are egg temperas. And he had two trademarks in his work. One's the Queen Mary coming up over the horizon in both. The other is he chose to use the international signal code flags to spell out his initials, EW, also out on the horizon in both, so he didn't have to sign his name at the bottom of his work. The two carved limewood panels on the forward bulkhead by James Woodford, sea-themed creatures and mythological beings once again. Right this way.
The enclosed promenade deck was used for strolling and relaxing on deck chairs. A preferred place, especially during the colder winter crossings. A lap around the promenade deck corresponds to a quarter of a mile.
This was the first-class main lounge. This is where first-class passengers would have come to spend their day. Reading, listening to recorded music. Sometimes there'd be a pianist. Sometimes late in the afternoon a small orchestra would come in and play. I think this room is probably the best example of why she was called the Ship of Beautiful Woods. The ceiling is Mazur birch. The walls are maple burr. The columns again are the cherry mahogany or makore from West Africa. The 8 lighting urns and the 3 fireplace mantles that you see are all carved from the same block of gold onyx to ensure the same color and the same grain. The second largest piece of artwork aboard the ship is here on the forward bulkhead. This is entitled Unicorns in Battle by Alfred J. Oakley and Gilbert Bays. The story behind the mural is that in mythology, if 2 unicorns battle, should their horns ever touch, it would create beautiful music. So it went along with the theme of the room. In the center of the mural, you'll see 5 cutout panels. Behind the mural is a projection booth. Late at night, they'd be able to open those panels and they would show movies on a screen set up on the stage on the opposite side of the room.
On the 27th of May 1936, the Queen Mary sailed her maiden voyage from Southampton to New York. Thousands of spectators had come to witness this special event in Britain's history. At 4:30 p.m, the ship left the ocean dock in Southampton under command of Commodore Sir Hector Britton.
Somewhere at sea, a liner somewhere at sea.
After a stop in Cherbourg, France, the new superliner was on its way to New York.
Will build my life anew.
Everybody hoped the ship would win the blue ribbon on this voyage, but fog prevented a record.
Sailing to me. When shall I
Nevertheless, a great welcome awaited the Queen Mary in New York.
hurry to me, great liner, for you can make my dream come true. Wherever you be, answer my plea, somewhere at sea.
The swimming pool offered a nice change on the long crossings. The fact that it was enclosed made it usable during the whole year. The pool has a size of 22 by 35 feet. It was filled with seawater, but only halfway, due to the fact that the ship was rolling. The walls are covered with terracotta tiles, and the ceiling provides a beautiful light effect due to the mother-of-pearl inlay. Here's a glimpse into the 18 dressing boxes, which were located at the aft end. The swimming pool also includes a Turkish bath, which was a popular meeting point.
the after entry. My name is David Main, and I was engineer officer on this ship for 3 years, from 1959 to 1961, operating both forward and after engine rooms, and also numbers 1 and number 5 boiler rooms. The boiler rooms and forward engine room have been removed. The after engine room, propeller shaft tunnel and steering gear can be seen on this tour. On this ship there are 27 boilers in 5 boiler rooms, 3 Scotch boilers for auxiliary steam in 1 boiler room and 24 main boilers in the other 4 boiler rooms for the propulsion machine. At full power, the boilers consume more than 40 tons of fuel oil per hour. The Queen Mary had 4 propeller shafts. The 2 outer shafts were driven by engines in the forward engine room, and the 2 inner ones driven by the engines in the after engine room. Each of the engines was capable of 40,000 shaft horsepower, making a total of 160,000 shaft horsepower in all. Please proceed through the engine room and enjoy the rest of your visit to this great ship. Thank you very much.
The last propeller can be seen in a specially created metal box. Still attached to its shaft, the 4-bladed manganese bronze propeller is kept in approximately 200,000 gallons of fresh water. It weighs 35 tons and measures 18 feet in diameter. The RMS Queen Mary today. She spent more time in Long Beach than during her active period on the oceans. Time and other circumstances have taken their toll. In April 2016, Urban Commons, a real estate investment and development firm, took over as the Queen Mary's new leaseholder. With the City of Long Beach providing the initial $23 million for the first phase of repairs, some areas of the ship could already be restored and upgraded. And in July 2017, work started on the ship's exterior. For the first time in over 15 years, she should be repainted to match her original colour scheme. Work is still in progress, but her hull already shines in new splendour. The 9th of December 2017 marked another big event in history, the 50th anniversary of the Queen Mary's arrival in Long Beach.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and once again, welcome to the majestic Queen Mary here in Long Beach, California. And I really and truly want to thank all of you for coming out and joining us today as we celebrate 50 wonderful years of this beautiful ship calling Long Beach, California its home. And it's home for 593 of us that work in this beautiful ship, and it's home of heart for millions around the world. The fireboat will now commence with the water cannon salute.
The RMS Queen Mary is part of the history of the sea, the last ship that can tell about the golden age of ocean liners. She's given people new life and hope by transporting them to another continent. She shortened the Second World War by a year, as Winston Churchill said, and transported more than 800,000 troops. Hopefully she'll be here for many more generations to come, to tell about her rich history. She truly is a ship with a heart and a soul.
The last captain of the Queen Mary was Captain J. Treasure Jones. He is the captain that brought her here to Long Beach. And when he turned the keys and the paperwork over to the city, he said she breathed, she had character, she had personality. She was above all else the closest ship ever to be a living being. And I think the longer you spend time here, the more you begin to understand exactly what he was referring to.